Welcome. I'm David.
Welcome, I'm Cam. Hello.
Good day, I'm Rex.
And we are just gonna have some raw lunch and just hang out and go with whatever flow of the conversation. Heart-centered, heart flow. Keep our selves in our heart and go towards heart-centered flow. I think would be a good kind of theme for lunch today. Talk about whatever, or not talk about whatever, or whatever. Thanks, loves.
First round.
Ooh, wow.
Merci beaucoup.
What do we got here?
That's just avocado, tomato, and basil salad with a little bit of cold pressed olive oil and salt and pepper.
Thanks, Les.
Vibration of as possible for my being integrate in the best way possible. And special prayer of gratitude for Kim for the amazing food, and David and Kim for inviting us here, and special prayer of gratitude for Pam being here as well.
Yeah, so got some basil from here, some oregano from there, some mint from there to there, and some more oregano from on the roof. I'm working on doing the super cropping, to where you pluck the basil at a certain spot, and then it'll split off to two pieces, and then that you can split off to two pieces, and that you can split off to two pieces. But then also clearing it out so it's not touching too much, and then there's some airflow in it too. It's called super cropping.
That's great that you're making that effort to grow your own food. Do you grow your own food as well, or?
No. No, I don't. I did it previously. I'm actually in between houses right now. I'm sort of like moving around quite a bit. I don't really have my own place.
Yeah.
I'm house sitting.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah, I don't really have my own thing going on, you know.
We all got our own thing going on. Maybe your thing is just be exploring for a while.
Well, I'm getting more familiar with spaces. I'm actually becoming really sensitive to movements of energy and spaces around me, and an example of this is like I'm like sleeping, moving like a compass in my bed when I'm sleeping. Before I go to sleep, I'm like, wow, this is not right, this is not correct.
Yeah.
Like just the direction which I'm facing.
Yep.
I'm not even talking about how I'm sleeping.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
understand.
actually got in bed and I'm like, no, this is not correct.
Yep.
And I spent a good like 10 minutes just like aligning myself up. Now I'm kind of facing somewhere in that direction, and I seem to be slowly day by day turning like this, you know.
You're going with
And
the
I'm
clock?
like checking each day, I'm like checking each evening, I'm like, okay, this is the, that's the spot.
The
That's
cam
the
dial.
spot. Yeah, like it's really something quite new for me to have that kind of sensibility.
Yeah, I've been told a bunch of different things. We did a bunch of different research. Some say to put your head in the north when you're sleeping. Some say to face east. There's all sorts of different things, but being sensitive to it and feeling it out and seeing what works best for you is probably the best way.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in life which is static. Not in the universe.
That is what?
Static.
Yeah.
It's solid.
Yeah.
Permanent. Well, some things last a hell of a long time. Some things don't last very long at all. So, you know, being aware of like, you know, like the most subtlest changes, it breaks, because we have a lot of belief, we have a lot of understandings that are kind of rooted inside us. and they're also rooted in impermanent things. Where the root of that is also impermanent. It's not a lasting thing. Just comes up every now and again, and because the thing pops up, so does the root, so does the manifestation, and then you're like, oh shit, this is everything, you know. Like, say if you're like having issues with relationships or something, and a girl pops up into your life, and you're like, oh, you're my everything, you know, you had the feeling, but you didn't check yourself, and you see that certain things are, you know, in play here. That once that thing goes, are you still going to be able to carry on and have a loving relationship with this person, or are you going to be like, the feeling's gone now, baby, you know,
Yeah.
you know, it's done.
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk about like relationships just with people in general for a second. I think one thing that's a valuable lesson for people, and this is coming up in my own life, kind of from the perspective of someone trying to force like a friendship with me right now. And I think there needs to be more allowing of relationships, you know, like, you know, my relationship is, you know, my energy resonates with David's energy, you know, my energy resonates with Kimberly's energy. So, I think people, when they have relationships with others, they have to consider what is the resonance of the relationship, you know, and not try to force something that's not there, you know, not try to force a relationship that's not there, not try to force a friendship that's not there.
Yeah.
Because I think when someone tries to do that, that creates resentment from the other person, and they just pull away. It's like, you know, like it's kind of like a magnet and whatever. You know, when you have the David could talk to this, or speak to this as an electrician. When you have the wrong poles, like two positive sides, you know, they repel each other. And if one tries to get close, the other is going to be repelled. So, I think it's always important to keep that in mind, you know, in your friendships and your relationships with other people, and, you know, to respect the will of the other person involved as well.
Yeah, because things are always changing, and everybody's always changing, and things are always changing. And
Yeah.
And those
boundaries.
poles are also changing, you know. If somebody is like that one day, doesn't mean they're going to be like that the next day.
Yeah.
And also, like, being aware of how changeable people are. They're extremely changeable. And I think as you get more flexible, as you become more relaxed in yourself, you can be extremely flexible.
Yeah.
One night you could be in a bar getting drunk with a bunch of fools, and the next day you're, you know what I mean, you're teaching meditation to middle class, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can be extremely flexible. The next day you could be, you know, at a kids party. The next day, you know what I mean? There's become less and less boundaries, less and less rules, the more flexible you get. But at the same time, yeah, this is alchemizing your energies to make sure that you are you're always coming from a very special place inside yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not sacrificing your self-awareness. You're not falling into illusion. You're not kind of getting besotted with Maya and thinking, oh, she's going to give me everything from the top to the bottom, you know? That's what people do.
Yeah,
But then this person's going to give me from top to bottom, you know?
I think, a lot of, relationships that are based on egoic deficiencies, and, a lot of people haven't worked out the egoic deficiencies of their lower three energy centers, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra. And so a lot of times kid, there used to be kind of this idea, this other person completes you rather than you complete yourself. That,
Yeah.
So I think people
I
have.
ran into that issue like growing up. My first wife, it was like, you're the puzzle piece that completes me.
Yeah.
And then after divorce, I became complete and
Yeah.
found somebody who was also complete.
Yeah.
And fit together well.
Yeah.
And we've changed so much, and we all changed so much. Different seasons, different times of the day. We all have a day cycle. We're different in all different hours of the day. We have like a month cycle. We're all different in each day of the month, and then we have a year cycle where we're different all different seasons.
And then we have life cycles.
Yeah, and then there's like bigger chunks too, like in there's 7-year cycles or something like that. Then there's like 20-year cycles. And, yeah.
And there's also, you can break it down to like very minutely depending
Probably,
when you
yeah.
go into, well, like now we are interacting on a worldly level, I mean, clearly we're putting focus in each other, the manifestation is going on. But when you are like in deeper meditation and you start to break down time, you start to see more and more intricate layers of the mandala, and time is kind of just like just breaking apart like this, just unthreading like a knot, just like, whoa, shit, what's all this stuff? And then eventually you start getting into very paradoxical realms, very paradoxical realms of yourself where you're looking at time as something objective, like an object outside of you, like a substance that is not you.
Yeah.
It's just something that occurs later on in the manifestation. You're way back. You
Right.
came a long time before that. Well, you said time,
But yeah,
or you could say distance,
infinite.
or you can say depth.
Yeah.
But this feeling that I don't even know where that conversation came from, because like I just get so wrapped up in that tripping when I start talking about time and this the cyclical nature of things. How did that, something happened in these days and I can't remember what it was, but I really got like super tripping on this whole thing about cycles, like how important it was, because I'm going to do music class for the children. I'm going to do music class for the children tomorrow in school, and it's my first class ever teaching music. I thought, what the hell am I going to teach them? So I had to walk around in some circles and bore myself solid until it came. And then I realized, the first lesson has to be about rhythm. It's a fundamental of music.
Yeah, basics.
If you just go, I mean, okay, you can have that in the music, but there's got to be some rhythm, there's got to be some cycle.
Perfect.
So to teach them, there'll be a part of it which will be like connecting with our breathing, connecting with our heartbeat, see how the body is making music. And I want to bring up this whole thing about cycle. That is the big theme of the class. So this all connect with that is children's music, that we're talking about.
Yep. So in order for there to be eternal, time had to exist. In order for something to be eternal, or the all, or love, or us, or God, or whatever,
God needs
in order for that to be
us.
eternal, there had to be time. And that's like time came out of that, because
God needs humanity. The perfect needs imperfection. These things are like looking at each other from supposedly opposite ends of the spectrum, looking into each other. One is like a mirror for the other. When the perspective goes over here, it's like dipping your head into a lagoon. You suddenly see blue and you see fish and you're looking from out the coral reef. But actually when you pull yourself out and you're looking in from a totally different angle. And that's about that flexibility, When you get that flexibility, okay, I'm God now, this is really tripping me out, And the next minute, I'm human now, looking back at God, this is really tripping me out, And then to make the thing like constantly, so you are always either looking at one is either looking at the other, or the other is either looking at the one. That's kind of the but if you take your eyes off that, you start going down some crazy avenues. If you're aware that you're going down a crazy avenue, then it's a nice walk in the park. You're going to end up in the dark forest for sure, but you know you're coming back, you know. But if you totally don't know that, like I said in the situation coming back, you said about relationships and things like this, or you kind of start putting all your expectations and you're projecting your desires into other people and expecting them to pay up on Friday, you know what I mean? Where's the wage on Friday? Let's go, mama. You know.
Yeah.
Then yeah, you're in for a rough ride if that's the case. Because eventually you're going to have to extract yourself. You're going to have to extract yourself from that situation again. Extract your mind from it. Wow, it's all about power. It's all about the herbs there.
This is that like a vegan chili type.
No, this is a Kim creation that I just made, and so go ahead and finish, Kim. I'm going to take a picture of this anyway so that I can put it. It's a new creation of mine. Yes, it's an original.
Does it have any meat in it?
Yeah, it has walnut meat.
Meat of the lamb.
The true definition of meat.
Alright, now you can have it, Cam. Pictures taken.
Thank you.
Done.
Mine was the one that got the photo.
You'll be able to.
It will be famous, like a soda like.
Yeah, it's
You'll be
going
like,
on a
Maybe
website.
this can run for presidential
Yes,
election.
yes.
You'll be like, I ate that dish.
I was thinking last night, can't we let these politicians have a vacation? You know, they've been working so hard to control the world the past 3 years, so they deserve to have a vacation. Let them have a break for a while so that they can give us a break.
I was thinking, though,
Yeah.
the only way that they're going to get a break is when enough people just say, we don't want you anymore.
Yeah.
It's like anything. I had friends that came over to visit, and I wanted to take them and show them, like, I bought this dress, somebody handmade this. Like, I love stuff that's handmade, like Cam does, on his website that has, like, their energy and uniqueness. And she wanted to go to China, Mexico, and buy souvenirs. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so, okay. It was draining my energy. But until people stop wanting to purchase that stuff, it'll still be there. Until people stop wanting to buy the Coca-Cola, it will still be there. Until people stop listening to politicians, they'll still be there.
Yeah, but I was just trying to think of it from a humorous perspective. I mean, just give them a nice vacation. Just give them some time off. You know, I mean, they've been working so hard and.
But it is difficult. I mean, it's difficult for people to take time off when they're used to that kind of level of stress, conflict, drama in their lives. You say, oh, have a rest now. It's not so simple. For me, it take me like, I gotta say, it take me like, I'm still chilling out now. And I'm still calming down, and even then I don't have it, and I've been like at this for, well, long time. So you gotta say like, you gotta like do like a 7 year like.
Stuff in your process.
7 year like in the White House or somewhere. You know, I heard this story about in the saying in the White House, they don't have any place inside the White House that is not in use.
Oh yeah.
They don't have some place where you can just go and it's an empty room. Just completely bare room with nothing inside it.
Yeah.
Every room has something inside it.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no room where you can go and like
Yeah.
thoroughly just annihilate yourself.
Yep.
Which is really what you need. To
Even like the spaces in the cellar are used for like the employee that's like the least liked in the White House. They have like some terrible cellar room or whatever. So
Really?
yeah, if they still like want them in the White House and they don't, they want them in the White House, but they want to make sure they know they're not super important. They put them like in the basement. Or something.
Subterranean realm.
Yeah, it's from that like stupid show, The West Wing, that was just made to kind of strengthen people's faith in the system. I don't know if you ever heard that show. It was like the late 1990s, early 2000s, and it was like just a show just to, you know, increase people's belief in government. Basically, was what it was used to do. And they made jokes on that show about, like, you know, if they wanted to hire a Democratic administration, they got to be put in the basement. So yeah, but yeah, I'd kind of like to get this conversation a little off politics, you know.
Well, all right. Let's talk
But,
about
co-creating.
co-creating.
Co-creating, yeah. So what are you? I haven't. This is our first time, for the listeners of the podcast, this is my first time meeting Cam today. Maybe you could just tell me a little bit about the website you have and what you're creating on the website.
Well, I don't have a website. So that conversation is...
No, next time.
Yeah, so next time on
you said
on Rex Meets Cam.
You have like you make something or what is it?
Yeah, I'm like, I love creating stuff, you know, and I'm always learning about creating new things and always changing and finding the new materials and new ways of working. But something that has been quite like a bastion of creation in my life is dolls.
Oh yeah.
Dolls of all different kinds. I create dolls that are more like sculptures. I create dolls that are marionettes that can dance. I create dolls that are on jewelry, dolls in shrines, dolls, all kinds of dolls, man. And I've been doing that all my life since I was a very young child.
And what inspired you to do that?
Well, I don't know. It was just something that was given to me to do. I started doing it before I could even think about what inspiration was. I was playing with dolls, you know. As a child, a very young child, I played with girls' dolls because there's no boys. As I started to get older, I started to make the dolls from Lego. I started to use like army dolls and things like this. But when I was really young, I had the girls' dolls, you know. But as I started to
Rainbow Bright. I had Rainbow Bright ones.
Rainbow Bright. I had these like I don't know, they were kind of like, not like Barbie dolls, but they were from the 80s. I love that they had so many accessories. They had every bag open, the little shoes in there, and oh man, there was just so much stuff. I loved it. I was tripping out about all this stuff. And I still trip out. But I love now like to create those stuff, and it's not the same. I'm not creating high heel shoes and handbags and stuff like this. I'm creating like magic power wands and swords and all different kinds of elaborate masks and like jewelry, doll jewelry and stuff like this. It's still growing, you know. I still have a long way to get to my, like how I see my visions, you know. Still is processing to come.
What do you think about porcelain ones with the eyes that open and close and ones like
Yeah,
that.
no, don't really interest me that kind of stuff.
Some people
I'm more,
collect those.
yeah, I'm more interested in capturing spirit forms and just elaborating them in the most beautiful, richest way possible. But then again, weird stuff can happen. Sometimes I made some little doll. I made a doll about a year ago, and I look at this doll and I think, man, you are one weird ass looking doll. And I didn't, and she was small, like this big, and I didn't really know what to do with her. I didn't know where her home was. I didn't know anything about her. And she needed a face, and I didn't put a face on her for the longest time. And about a month ago, I put a face on her. And then the other day, I saw her hanging about inside this matchbox, and I opened the matchbox and looked at her, and I thought, that's weird. And I took a photo, a video of me opening the matchbox, and I put it on Instagram, and I put it on with some words, because usually the dolls, they come with words, they all come with stories, you know.
Oh,
they
yeah.
come with their own particular wisdom of being born, and little stories, you know. So I put this in the story on Instagram. The story was for this, that so it went something like this. It went believing, pretending to be what pretends to be beautiful, but believes itself to be ugly, reveals itself naked for all to see, and becomes beautiful to itself, which was all that really mattered. It's something like this. And I put it on Facebook. Like the next day, someone contacted me like, I need this doll. I need this doll, you know.
Yeah, that's
Please send me this doll.
That's a very interesting
Cool.
synchronicity, you know, like that's a great like flow in your life right there.
Yes, but they sometimes take me a little time, because the things that I find really, like I make some dolls that take me years to make them. And I'm so finicky, like you say, with the details, you know, when you're on the website, like, oh, just move that space, move that. So you can imagine when I have I like making the small dolls because I can go detail and it's not going to mess with my need to perfect. It will do eventually. There will be some difficulties in that, but for sure I can manage detail on a much smaller scale than when I have a doll like this. I'm working on for a long time, and I have difficulty scaling things. That's an issue that I have with scaling. I don't realize that if you make a big doll, you don't need to put loads of small details on. The details can be larger because you're scaling up. No one's going to look at the tiny ass little doll tattoo on the angle, you know.
Yeah.
Come on, man. So I'm getting used to the scaling the thing. So this is what this is really where my heart and my passion is with the dolls.
Huh.
But I seem to be doing a lot of stuff, like I'm doing a lot of tires now. I'm doing a lot of teaching that is related to the dolls.
Huh.
And I like doing tires, and I like small businesses with 2 or 3 people. That seems to me like the magic thing. I have a few of those going on. They're not exactly sort of like maturing just yet, because I'm kind of new to the thing. Before I thought I could handle it myself.
Yeah.
I did have something going on before I had a business, but that was something buying, selling, eBay kind of nonsense way back, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like you're not really creating anything for yourself in that. It's just you're buying and selling, and
Yeah,
it
somebody
doesn't
else-
have that. You don't have that same kind of sense of purpose about yourself. Like I tried selling insurance for a while, and I never enjoyed it because it's like somebody else's product, it's somebody else's company.
yeah.
You know, it's somebody else's idea. You're not really you have to fit into a system, and
Somebody's gonna give you
money, and yeah. So
Papa's gonna look after you.
yeah. And And so I just ended up going back to teaching afterwards because I was like, this doesn't feel in alignment for me. You know, I don't feel like I'm doing the planet any good by going and talking to people about insurance. And the other problem I have with insurance is it creates this idea of fear. You know, every time people talk about you need car insurance or you need life insurance, you're always creating this idea, putting people in frequency of fear every time you do that. Like, you could die, you could get in a car accident when you're doing that. So I think that's one of the other ideas I don't like about that. I think, we want to put ourselves where we're thinking about what can we do that's in the highest good for people? How can we serve others? How can we help others?
I agree.
Yeah.
In the pharmacy at Guadalajara, they have a really good deal right now, which is 500 pesos a year. And at the end, they pay for your funeral up to 50,000 pesos. I couldn't realize how that was working. I was like, I want to get that insurance, and then at the end, like, throw a big party, a 50,000 peso party. Where I'm just not there. Maybe I could be
Where I'm not there! I want to throw the party and I'm not there.
There's probably something in the fine print.
Yeah, but I couldn't understand the mathematics of it, because even if I live for like another, I don't know, say I live for another 60 years, say I live to 100, I pay 500 pesos a year, I'm still not even close to 50,000 pesos. Maybe in 60 years, 50,000 pesos is nothing.
Maybe our whole money system is going to totally reboot, and
That's
they know
one of
it.
the
And
tricks
so
too,
they're just
yeah.
like, just give us some money now. You're gonna think you're gonna get something, and it's gonna reboot.
They've already rebooted the
I give you
peso.
22 million!
Yeah!
Exactly. That's how the pesos used to be when I would come here as a kid. You'd have a 25,000 pesos coin.
Yeah.
It would buy you as much as the 10 peso coin does here. But they kept jacking up the inflation, and at one point they had to reset the money.
Oh, so they just deleted a bunch of zeros.
They did something, and you had to
that's
turn
what they
them in
must
and
have done.
devalued it, and people
Yeah.
actually lost money in the
They-
trans.
They did that in Germany as well. I think in the 1920s or 1930s. Is that they had such bad hyperinflation that basically they took the notes on the mark, and let's say you had a 1,000 mark note, and they just deleted the 3 zeros after it, because that's how bad inflation was at the time. It
So
was bad.
50,000 looks pretty good right now, but give it 5 years and that's gonna look like some avocados.
Nice investment.
Yeah.
That's cool
So
though.
is that what you do? You're a teacher?
Well, I used to teach English to international students. So I've taught in Boston, New York, France, Spain, South Korea, Vietnam, and Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
And so I
That was
was,
the whole teaching.
yeah, I really enjoyed teaching international students. It was a lot of fun. And I met some wonderful Mexican students, just through my teaching at an international school in Boston. And at one point, they had this event called Culture Fair every year, where every nationality, they got together and they presented their culture before the school. So they would make the food of the culture. Some people would dress in the traditional dress of the country, and they would do some other things to kind of promote their country and show the culture to the other students during the culture fair. And so one year, the Mexican students handed me the Mexican flag. So I think in storage, I think it's in my stuff in Samora that I have stored in Samora right now. I have a little Mexican flag that was given to me by my students, actually. But I didn't take the right sign at the time, because at the time I wanted to go to Vietnam. So I went to Vietnam and I taught in a communist-run school in Vietnam. And I got educated in communism, so I really appreciate the education that I received. It really helped me to awaken. And yeah, I really enjoyed this culture fair event. It was such an amazing, incredible event, and to me it was really the essence of what like an international school should be about, is the opportunity for people to kind of exchange their cultures with one another and learn about one another. Not that I really believe in the traditional system of education anymore, but working in international schools was my favorite kind of school to work at, because you got to see kind of this kids learning about each other's cultures, and that sort of thing, and it was just fun to kind of watch that. And now I'm a shamanic energy healer, so I do energy healings with people. I help people reprogram their consciousness.
On the internet or here in person you do stuff?
I can do either. So this past weekend, I had an energy healing session that was in person, where I led someone on a little retreat, which included an energy healing session. And then I also took them to a cacao ceremony as well. And so that was kind of a learning experience with me, kind of guiding them on their little retreat that I had planned for them, learning how to hold a ton of space for people, because it was like a very intense one-on-one kind of session. So that was interesting. So that's one thing I do. And then I can heal physical pain, emotional pain. I can deal with some things on the spiritual level as well. And one of the things I know is with the energy healing, type of energy healing I do, neo-shamanic energy healing, I know a protocol that can energetically clear people of the COVID vaccine.
You'll be in business with that then.
Well, yes and no, because some people, they've been so programmed about the COVID vaccine is good for you, COVID is dangerous, all this kind of stuff that, it's not easy to attract clients, because the people I know who have taken the COVID vaccine, a lot of them are super programmed, like germs are dangerous, you have to fear germs, all that kind of thing. They really buy into that notion. Whereas what I believe is I'm more of a terrain theory guy, which I don't know if you've heard of terrain theory versus germ theory. So germ theory is the idea that there are these little microscopic organisms out there that are out there to get you, and to destroy you, whatever. And terrain theory is mainly that, our health comes from the environment that we live in. So the food we eat, the water we drink, the thoughts we put in our head, some things like the frequencies like 5G, that kind of thing. But it's a very different way of looking at science and stuff. And in terrain theory, it's not based on a frequency of fear. It's more looking at that we have a symbiotic relationship with nature. That nature's not out to get us, okay? So, we're not like, nature's not trying to kill us. That's just a false paradigm that's been put into us by those in charge. So whenever you listen to the media, they're always talking to the war on crime, the war on germs, the war on terrorism, the war on COVID.
Is there a war on germs?
There
Hand sanitizer and masks.
Yeah.
Right? There it goes.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
So they're always talking about that. They're always talking about how they're always talking about how there's some kind of conflict between people. Whenever people watch the TV, not that I watch the TV, but a lot of people do. So terrain theory is not that there's a war between humans and nature, but that we have a symbiotic relationship where we come together. So, you know, when I see a lion in the jungle, I don't see the lion as out to eat me. You know, and sometimes I even see videos of people like lions licking people's faces.
All depends on how hungry they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also seen a lion take a guy apart in a matter of seconds.
It depends on how they're conditioned, too.
Yeah. Maybe even just how hungry they are. 'Cause
Yeah, it's wildlife. You look, I mean, we can speak about that, but if you look and you see a cockroach and he's just like hobbling along on one leg and he crosses a trail of ants, it's bye-bye. He's gone.
Yeah.
And like, you, like kind of all idea of human idea of kindness and sympathy go totally out the window. You went to universal kindness, universal, you went to universal stuff on that level, you know. Like you said, lion hungry, lion going to eat you. Is it sympathy? Not for a human being, but is it sympathy from a totally different perspective?
Well,
it is, because the life must carry on.
well,
Something gonna happen.
you know, I personally, I think it's a vibration question. So I think if you're the type of person that fears being, you know, eaten by a lion, you could attract that into your life. If you're the type of person that fears snakes, you could potentially attract that into your life. So I was camping by myself in the woods in Northern California, and I had a campsite near this wonderful swimming hole. And so one day I walked to the swimming hole and somebody told me, "Oh, there's just been a rattlesnake killed near the swimming hole. Do you want to see it? We have it in a bucket over here." And I definitely said, "No, that's okay. I don't need to see a dead rattlesnake." I mean, who really desires to see a dead rattlesnake? I know there's maybe some people out there that like that kind of a thing, but a lot of people don't.
I took it home. My boss is like, "Hey, check this out. There was a rattlesnake at my doorstep when I woke up this morning, so I shot him." And I was like, "What? What'd you do with him?" "Oh, I threw him into the woods." "What? Come on, where?" Threw it in the bucket, had it in the work truck all day, took it home, took that skin off, dried it out, wrapped it around my walking stick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so some people like to have it on their walking stick. And
And some people don't want to see it.
Anyway, the point the point I wanted to finish right on this is I had a decision to make at this point in time, because I used to fear snakes, right? And I said, maybe I should move my campsite to somewhere with less rattlesnakes, right? And I thought about it. And I said, no. Maybe what I need is to overcome my fear of snakes. You know, so instead of moving my campsite that night, I stayed in the same campsite and I didn't see any snakes. But my mom fears snakes. And so, you know, and she's very lucky because she lives in Vermont where they don't have any poisonous snakes.
Oh, nice.
So there's really, it's kind of ironic, there's really nothing to fear from the snakes in Vermont. You know, none of them are
Yeah, you don't really have
venomous.
to worry about lions in Vermont either.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about lions.
Well,
You don't
maybe
have to
mountain
worry.
lions, I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's not too many of those either. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's really nothing to fear from snakes because she doesn't live in a place where they have any venomous snakes. They don't have like a boa constrictor or anaconda, but she fears snakes. So one day, her cat brought a snake in and put it right in the toilet. So you can really attract what you fear, and I think what we really need to work on is our fears, you know, and not fearing such things.
Yeah, and to dissect our fear and to say, okay,
Yeah.
what do I fear? Why do I fear it?
Yeah.
And how do I get past it?
Yeah.
For my whole life, or as a child, I thought I was afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
And when I got older, I dissected it as being fear of the unknown. I wasn't afraid of the dark, I was afraid of what could be in the dark. And so to get through that as a young adult, I ran straight into the woods with no light, no moon, into the dark.
Yeah.
And got through it, you know, it sat with it and was okay
Yeah,
with it. And
so you
then we
faced it.
started doing night hikes all the time. We did night hikes forever.
You faced it head on.
Yeah, I ran
Ah,
straight
cool. That's
for
interesting.
it.
Yeah. So that's what you would advise people listening to this podcast to do is
I
kind of
don't know.
learn.
I wouldn't advise anybody to do that because
Yeah.
you know that means someone might run right to a lion.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend that, you know,
that's a
or-
fair point.
or
Like, we're
whatever.
not saying to be an idiot, okay? So for listeners out there, don't be an idiot.
Well, it
Yeah,
became
right.
the idiot club that would go
Yeah.
night hiking at night with no lights in the dark. They would call
Yeah.
us idiots, so we had an idiot club. We're like, hey,
Would
these
you
guys
guys-
going hiking tonight? No lights. Let's go.
Would you guys like dessert now, or do you want me to wait?
I can hold a little while. I'm alright.
Whatever.
Okay, let's just put it in the fridge and you guys.
Yeah, and you also come and join us for a little
Yeah, yeah.
while, and
Get on on some conversation. She's been busy creating
Yeah.
magic. She just loves it. Yeah, I think dissecting your fear and looking into the reasons why. Now, are you afraid of a lion, or are you afraid of being ripped apart by a lion? Are you afraid of being ripped apart by a lion, or are you afraid of being ripped apart? Are you afraid of being ripped apart, or are you afraid of being
death?
open, like, or are you afraid of death, or like dissecting it down,
Nothingness.
breaking
You're
it down
afraid of
into like what is it?
Yeah.
I'm afraid of being nothing.
Are you afraid of being nothing?
Are you afraid of nobody knowing that you was gone, of just disappearing, of being,
And how
of your
does that-
life not being worthless, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
die.
And how does that matter right here, right now?
Yeah, and
You know, dissecting it down to that point and saying, okay, like, today, is there anything I can do about it today? Do I really need to be sorry about it today? Once you break it down, is there really something I need to be afraid of? Is it really even need to be there? Or-
David and I watched a really good movie about that last night. We don't watch a lot of movies, but every once in a while we get a wild hair. And we
It was
watched.
called RRR.
Yeah, it was a Bollywood movie.
Okay. It was one of the best ones because like it didn't have subtitles, and it was super action packed, and it was like comic book style almost, where like the guy jumps into action and the fireworks are going off, and the other guy's got the water flying around, and it's like super cinematic. And
Yeah.
of course Bollywood.
But there was
movies,
no,
bust into
they
some
had
songs.
no fear. He was racked up, getting tortured, and he was just started singing. La, you know, like, no fear. Just like, go ahead, bring it. I am not kneeling down.
Braveheart style, you know, they're like ripping the guy
Yeah.
apart.
freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like fighting for his
Hello.
freedom.
Oh, we just had a hummingbird just say hello.
Yeah, and the dove came up and said, "Oh, it was cool."
Yeah, but that, I mean, I heard when you have no fear, what was it? I mean, that's really when life gets magical. You can do anything. That's what it was. When you have no fear, you can accomplish anything.
Because you have.
It's the fear that stops us from doing things. What is someone going to think? Are they going to think I'm going to, like, get out of your head, do what you love, you know, just do whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't have the fear or the,
Yeah.
you know, worrying about what anyone else thinks is, like David
Yeah.
always tells me, it's none of my business. What anyone thinks about me is none of my business.
Yeah. Yep. That's.
It's a lot better than
Yeah.
That's a very good point, and it puts you in the frequency of freedom instead of
Yeah.
frequency of fear, and it liberates you. And the other point that I like that, you know, David and Cam just made is like dissecting what it is exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to become the investigators. So you want your higher consciousness to become the investigator of your ego. You know, what
Yeah,
are
yeah,
your
yeah.
fears? So you have to really become the investigator of your consciousness and say, what do I fear and why do I fear it and where is this
Coming from.
where is
And that
this
goes-
coming from?
Also
Yeah.
goes into like triggers, like what
Yeah.
triggers me, and what investigate
Yeah.
into what triggers you, and where's this coming from, and going
Yeah,
from
I've learned if I have a trigger,
Yeah.
then it's not anyone else's issue, it's mine, and it's something I need to heal. If someone else is triggering me, because David, I don't know what it is about him, he's a master at triggering people.
there. What do you mean by that?
Like,
Are you triggering me?
I don't get triggered very easily.
No, he doesn't get triggered easily, but
Well,
he
yeah,
triggers me, or like I observe him triggering other people easily, you know,
I
and
ask a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
well, maybe
and I'm like,
maybe you should build a safe space up there so that everybody can go
Go
up to
up,
the
yeah,
the-
yeah,
You have a safe space up there.
We do have a little
safe space like all these universities have
Yeah.
their safe
go to
spaces.
the rooftop.
That can be the spot without questions, unless you want to.
Yeah, you can go up there.
Why
and
are you
David
on the
will question-
rooftop?
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you sitting like
Why are you
that?
sitting like that?
How long have you been up here?
Yeah.
What's the color of the sky?
Yeah, that's.
I don't know what it, yeah, his questions can be like, what the fuck? Why are you asking me all these questions? I don't even know.
Because I like to look into that. I like dissecting it, you know. Like
But if
dissecting
you,
what is
give
the-
me-
can
you
feel
give us an
defensive.
example?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that example? Like,
Oh God.
yeah, give an example.
What did I get triggered at recently? Oh, he asked her. I was playing a song on my guitar, and he asked if there was other chords or something that I could use, and I'm like, "What are you singing? You don't like my song?" Like it
I
really.
didn't say I didn't like her song.
Yeah. He's like, "Are there some other chords that you know or could use?" And I was like, fuck did you just say? You don't like my song?
Well, usually there's a chorus to a song.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
switches up a little bit. And I was
And it
just
was
asking
just
if
like, yeah.
I,
do that.
Yeah.
I think there are two things in that right there. There's.
Okay,
I
sorry.
think there are two things in that right there, which is the coachability index, which is the willingness to change and willingness to learn. So are you willing to change and are you willing to learn? You know, is David the right person to give
But
you
like
the,
you said, Rex, like if you have a coach, you're more open.
Yeah.
I have found in my life the person who's closest to us knows us the most, and and we tend to get triggered by them.
We're each other's life coach.
Yeah.
We trigger each other all the time.
Yeah.
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 It's fun to get through it. And bring it
Yeah.
out. It's fun to get
Get
past
past it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are the masters. These are the gurus of your life, the ones that trigger the shit out of you. Know, you think these people travel all the way to India just to have a nice time? No, the guru guys are making real idiots of them.
Yeah.
They can send them out into doing all kinds of uncomfortable shit they don't want to do. Ah, my guru, I know this, and then they say, okay, well, I give you this, you must do this, okay, you must walk around naked for 1 week, come back. This person come from middle class New York or something. You put them in the most uncomfortable positions, but actually I think we are putting ourselves in those uncomfortable.
We are our own guru. We are our best guru.
The craziest one, the one who's going to put you in just bamboozling situations is, but again, we find reflections in the world around us, and if you spend a lot of time with somebody, if you're really meant to be close with somebody, then those persons are going to reflect you most accurately.
Yeah.
So they do become, the person, if you're in a relationship with somebody, that person's the most important person in your life. Most important.
Yes.
Like, it's not, there's no two ways about it. And that's one thing that I'm to live with somebody. Yeah, even just to live with somebody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
'Cause that's
David
a
and I,
relationship.
when we like, since we went to Mexico, after when we left California, we've been together almost 24/7. Like most people, they go to work, they do other things.
that's impressive.
We're like,
Yeah.
boom, all just together,
Yeah.
together,
and you,
together.
And you still have each other's heads.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's it's impressive. That is impressive.
Well, she's not quite a praying mantis. She's more just a tiger, and I'm a
Yeah.
monkey.
So sometimes he'll get on my back and just ride the tiger.
Oh, she's freaking out. I'm just like, we still get to the beach.
Yeah, it's funny because I think, according to astrology and even Chinese, whatever, we're not a good match, but we are a
No, it
perfect
doesn't
match.
say
But
that.
that's
It
a
just
limiting belief,
Well,
though, right?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That's right. That's like
But,
what
but many people would look at that and say, "Oh my God, this person's not a good match."
Yeah.
And
Well, it says that the monkey should beware of the tiger. It says that the tiger should beware of the monkey. But we're not here to.
So
to
be
comfortable.
aware.
Yeah.
Be aware of them.
Because we
You know,
need to get
pay
to those
attention
triggers.
to them.
Yeah.
Two mice is not party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we
You
had
throw
a
boss and a monkey and a tiger together. You got a party.
You got some serious, you got some serious damage going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we had a shamanic union before we had another marriage because my mom I didn't care about getting married or whatever. My mom's like, well, are you really getting married or should I just send a gift? And they still hadn't met him yet. I'm like, fine, I'll get married, okay. But before that we had a shamanic union and it brings up all the like different energies
9
or
days of
whatever.
ceremonies on a tour in Mexico,
Yeah.
from Tepoztlan to all sorts of
And
different temples
it brought
and
up
pyramids and
such a trigger big time. It was so interesting to observe. And now I laugh at it looking back, but yeah, the triggers that,
That we
can
had
have
to
as
get
humans.
through.
Yeah.
And then we continue to get through
So
the
funny.
smaller and smaller ones.
Could
We find them, find each other's triggers. help
Can
each
I
other.
make a point on triggers?
Mhm.
I also think, and I was realizing this weekend dealing with a client, that I had to, it's not always a matter of your triggers, but also realizing that sometimes these are just projections from other people. Like if somebody says, you're this, a lot of times what they really mean is that's how they feel about themselves.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
not necessarily a trigger.
like it's, so you might, if you feel triggered by it, that means you feel that you're that too. But a lot of times I'm like, oh, I don't resonate to that. That's just a projection
Yeah.
they're making of me because that's how they feel about themselves subconsciously.
Right.
It's a projection. So a lot of times these things are projections.
And I know the difference
Yeah.
between a projection and a trigger.
Yeah.
I'm talking about triggers specifically,
Yeah.
but I understand if it's someone projects.
Yeah.
Typically, I'm in a space where I know it's a projection. I'm like, I'm not taking that. That's yours.
I was
That's
sitting there. I
yours.
realized that when,
Yeah.
I realized
Yeah.
that when at the bar, some
Yeah.
person was yelling at me and saying, "You're this, 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 and this," and it's like, "Oh, I'm just here holding a mirror, and this is actually how you feel about yourself that's coming out."
Yeah.
Because you could kind of see
Often
what they
that
were
is,
saying
yeah.
wasn't really what I was like, and it kind of pointed like things like that. So it can be like
Yeah.
mirror work. There's actually the
You
necessary.
just did a hole in the mirror. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
All in space.
Yeah, here I am.
Hey,
I've done that with Kim. The
Yes.
opposite way with Kim will be like, "Oh, you're so awesome and amazing, and I love you so much. You're so amazing." And I go, "Kim, come here. Bring her. Look right there. Just point in the mirror. Let's step out of it." There you are.
Nice one.
Same thing.
But I think you want a bit of both. You want a
Yeah.
little bit of. You need to break a little bit of wood for a fire. This is the thing that that sharpen us up. The well-being in the world is a preparation for another journey altogether, and you need the time here to sharpen up as best we can on these things. So
Yeah.
this is all going to be worth. Everything we learn here is going to become worthwhile later. I mean, it's worthwhile now, but You know, when I said before about some things, they don't last very long. Some things last longer. Some things last a hell of a long time. And insight and wisdom is one of those things that lasts for a hell of a long time. How do we know that? Well, not only on earth, because of the wisdom that come on, and those are the things that are lasting. They outlive the civilizations. How we can communicate with the ideas of people who have lived before the civilization age. Last magical era, let's say. And then deeper inside our own minds to kind of come into connection with wisdom that is just not of this magical era. It's not of this. It has not been here for the last well, up to 10,000 years. And then there's more and more going on and on. Stuff like how do I know this stuff? I don't know, but I love it. It's not coming from me. That's really weird. I don't know. Am I who I say I am?
Labels just limit.
Yes, but this is like one of the things that is lasting. It's one of the things that really is still not permanent. Even wisdom is not permanent, you know. And even insight is not permanent, but it lasts a hell of a lot longer than the world.
It's always changing. Yeah, I think that like when you die, some of the lessons and the triggers that you let go of in this life, those won't be in the next life if you were to come back after this, or if we have came back different times.
It won't be in humanity.
I may have been triggered 100 times in 100 lives, but in this life I removed that trigger with the help of my wife, and so that's no longer there for me, and then that also helps humanity.
Yeah.
Because as each one of us heals, we heal us all. And as we all, every little bit that we heal of ourselves, we're healing the whole collective.
Yes.
The whole galaxy multiverse is all of it.
Yes, if you
It's
clean
amazing.
out of you, if you can clean out right to the very root, and you totally undo that thread until there's nothing there anymore. Like deep down within yourself, in the most thingless abyss that is so alive and blooming with all incredible non-things.
The nothing, there's the everything.
And then you're dealing in a realm where people they don't even come yet. They're not. It's like way down the line, you know. So you're working at the top of the mountain with the river. People come at the bottom near the sea. It's a long way coming down this river. It passes through a lot of stuff. But if you're working with the source, whatever you do over there is gonna have impact on all that follows. But if you're working here on the source, and you're working here and trying to change people, you try to change humanity or something, it's not having the desired effect. It's like counting grains of sand one by one, you know. I'll get there eventually, and there's more sand coming out of the sea every day, and there's sand going out, and the next morning you wake up and say, what the fuck is this?
What was I?
This June or
Even after 5 minutes, I'm like, what number was I on?
Yeah, exactly. But if you work at the source, you can actually change the whole direction of the river completely.
And so what do you mean by the source? Like, can you...
I mean the origin of where this manifestation comes from.
What's this manifestation?
This what we see.
Okay.
In terms, okay, let me see, because you get, this is one, you can go on one crazy journey right now, okay? I'm gonna go on this pretty crazy journey.
I like it.
When I say this, okay, what I mean is the finality of all evolution, the kind of point where all evolution has reached. It's constantly growing outwards, but this moment right here, right now, is where it's reached. It is the total fragmentation of all energy. If the source is the purest elixir This is the most fragmented, diluted into
So,
67 million
yeah.
different types of alcohol.
Like the
yeah?
first cause, they caused all the way
Yes.
down to the river is billions of causes that all came from the first cause.
Exactly, and it's like I can
First
say like
effect of the first
alcohol
cause.
like that. You have the original elixir, the purest form, and then now you have martini extra dry. You
Yeah.
have whiskey of this, this. You have Bacardi, you have this,
Brazil,
all the things and all the
Donna.
alcohol. So everything that you that manifests through your sensory system, incredible kind of fragmentary evolution, not fragmentary, interconnected, but you know, it's just everything just separating from each other and creating new things in between. So create organs,
Yeah.
create organs that can see, that create this part of the manifestation, create organs that hear, can take vibration and mirror that back into itself in a different way, from a sound. There's taste, there's your brain waves taking from your thought waves, your emotional waves, yeah? And also your feelings inside your body, your sexual energy. All of this is the forefront of the Alcohol Movement Association for Drunkards Worldwide. Yeah? So this is the
breakdown,
front
yeah.
end of the movement, right? It's
I
like
think that's
the
how it was
cutting
made
edge.
to my mom and dad. I think they were at that meeting of the alcoholics getting together.
Yes, so all of this is a whole
Alcoholics,
different range
yeah.
of this.
Alcohol, sorry.
But what we actually, because we come into this world as babies, how to say to remember what it was like to be a baby, you know? You can reconnect with those memories,
Mhm.
but depending on how you're always going to look back through the lens of who you are right now. Your memories are going to be seen through the lens of who you are right now, you know. You can change your memories depending on who you are right now. That's why we say the present is the past and the future, because you're constantly manifesting those in your life, depending on your chemistry. You eat an apple this morning, you might look at all your life as being a leaf in the breeze. But say you don't eat an apple, say you eat a taco that gives you stomach problems, and you look back and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anything can change. So, you know, we are kind of squashed into a certain, because of our magical era, because of many things and situations of where we are right now, of who we are, in terms of our social, cultural situation, our parents, many things, our karma, all of this come into what spectrum we see,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
We have available the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Okay, like you said earlier before, many people are probably stuck in red, orange and yellow. Okay, they haven't even got to blue, indigo, violet yet. Some people have got to red, they got the whole spectrum now, yeah? But then you know that the color spectrum is not the end of the vibration or the beginning. If you keep going higher, you get into higher vibrations, which go into X-rays and different kinds of
Gamma rays.
and gamma rays, and they
radio
start going
rays.
up into higher vibrations. Yeah.
And it's about capacitance too. At that point, the light frequency, like purple light, can actually move things in a vacuum because it's a different density. The red light may be like this kind of a density,
Yeah.
and then the purple light may be this density. And gamma ray, you can't even see. It's the capacitance.
Exactly, so you can keep going down in the vibration also. And when you go down, you start to get sound, you get lower vibrations. Yeah? So
And
actually,
you get cycles.
lower cycles.
Cycles are
It's
starting
coming
to
to be
show.
all the stuff I'm going to teach the children. So like we're seeing these colors, what we think of when I say this reality is really going to depend on on that, you know. Do you see the rainbow, or do you see more rainbows? And after you see more rainbows, do you see the rainbows coming into a circle, what happens when they come into a circle? Do they become a circle exactly, or do they kind of change when they become a circle? And what is in those other rainbows? Like, you think now, okay, you can simplify this very easily and say, okay, there are seven depths, realms to the earth, you know, like you can call them the 7 chakras. Aligning with that, let's be done with it, okay, the 7 chakras. Each one is dealing with a energy realm that manifests itself in a certain way in this association from whiskey, forefront of the movement of all great fragmentation and joining things in very strange and unexpected ways. Yeah? So that is what I mean on a superficial level. And even that is superficial. Even this whole thing, rainbows vibrating and all of this, is still superficial level. Because we're still operating on the sea, we're still fishing close to the sea, you know?
And we're using our eyes to see the
rainbow. And
rainbows.
we're using our eyes to see the rainbow. I'm using my mind to create the thingy and creating these concepts,
The concept of the rainbow.
And my taste is creating the taste of rainbow, and my ears are creating ears of rainbow, and all of this stuff is, and even if I go open to the next level and become an angel being, I'm still having angel thoughts, angel emotions. Maybe they're completely different
You
from
may
the,
understand
from
the rainbow in a whole
human
other
stuff.
way, but
But they're still getting the 7. Yeah, they're still getting the 7 shelves of alcohol, you know? But they're just getting different ones. And the demons below also are getting the 7 shelves of alcohol. And all the rainbow shit going round and round are all getting the 7 shelves each. Maybe some are seeing, well, this is the funny thing as well, because when we say each of us are getting these things, now we start getting into the really interesting stuff, because we're working, like I said, we've been fishing by the sea. But what if we start hiking upriver and we start getting closer to the source?
yeah.
Then this each of us stuff stops bit by bit, it ceases to make sense. Because you're kind of losing your individuality the further you go back.
Yeah.
And that's as you start to get idea of seeing like more of these rainbow things going together. And you're like, oh shit, you know?
Beautiful.
I didn't see the...
So one interruption real quick. I didn't plug this thing in. So, you know, we may have half hour or it may go off at any moment.
Okay.
But that's just a disclaimer. It doesn't really
Okay.
matter. The videos always just kind of drop off at the end, and I was usually not an ending quote, but that was just my disclaimer.
Where are you teaching, Cam? Children?
I'm going to be teaching in the Mangos, the Library of Mangos, the Biblioteca de los Mangos.
Where is it?
It's in Puerto Vallarta.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a cool name for a library.
Yeah, because there's a mango grove. It's surrounded by mango grove.
Oh, awesome.
So is that your name
Mangoes
for it,
falling
or is
in.
that
So
their
what
name
age?
No, that's an M.
Mm,
It's in
What
the mango grove.
what age children are you going to teach?
Actually, tomorrow I got 2 classes. I do make my magic mobiles in the morning with adults. This is a school with all people of different ages with different special capacities, you know, or what people call other places discapacities, you know.
Yeah.
Well, here I like to call them special capacities because everybody's got some cool stuff going on.
I think we should get to the point where everybody is seen as having special capacities. You know.
Yeah,
like-
we're all one. We all have our unique magic.
We're all one, but in this case,
Yeah.
you know, there's like.
Oh, okay. People have pictures, so I washed them.
Some
so they
like.
You guys want some
record.
dessert?
Yes,
Sure,
thank you.
yeah, that would be great.
Like certain special, you can say we're all special, and you're right to some degree. But I'm talking from a very functional point of view.
Yeah.
Like meet somebody, if you can't see, you need to
Yeah,
special.
yeah.
Or if you don't
Yeah.
have like intelligence to cross the stream
You can't
Yeah.
speak.
and you can't speak. I mean, it's just some.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to get into
I think
philosophical
sometimes we have to be careful with these labels too, because I think some kids that are actually really capable are told that they have like special needs or they have some deficiency, and I think a lot of times if they're given that label, then that becomes their identity.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
so I think however they're taught,
A little wet from a fresh wash.
you know.
Thank you for bringing the bananas, Cam.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. You want to tell us what you made here?
Yeah, well, the crust is some pecans, and I mix a little walnuts. I blend that up with some dates, and a little bit of coconut oil, raw, cold pressed coconut oil, and just a dash of salt. And then I press it down for the crust so it's all raw. And then I put some avocados, cacao, and honey, and I blend it together. And then you know, we have some magical bananas on top.
Thank you so much.
It's
I
one of
love-
our favorite desserts.
And a pinch of salt. I'm always kind of like quite. I love the little bit of chaos in the order. I love it like that, and that's what really makes chocolate turn out. It's a little bit of salt.
Yep.
Yeah, I was amazed that when you make cookies, you put salt in them. I'm like, what?
And these bowls are also like something from a Bollywood movie. Or something.
Yeah. Our favorite restaurant when we lived in Big Bear was the Himalayan. We loved, you know, Indian food and all its like.
And my dad bought us those for our wedding gift.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they always served us food in, is those. And my dad had them special order us some to, and we've been bringing them with us.
But
I used to get
that would no longer
mushroom
be our
matar.
restaurant. Yeah, because we don't eat any cooked foods, but
And they were all about cooking.
yeah.
Do they even have any raw food restaurants in Big Bear?
You could get juices and like acai bowls and stuff like that.
I haven't even
But
seen a raw food restaurant.
I
Whole
think
lot.
often they freeze the fruit for those types of places, and we personally don't consider that raw. A lot of other people think that, you know, certain things. I've been, since we made this transition, I research and study a lot because I am always wondering what's the best for our body temples and what's, you know, I want to
Yeah.
be healthy. Nutritional yeast, a lot of people say that's raw. I researched how it was made. It's not fucking raw. Not only is it not raw, but when they process it the way they do, it turns into a chemical that's similar to MSG, which is super harmful and addictive to the brain.
Yeah.
And most, you know, raw vegans and raw people think they put nutritional yeast in everything. They don't know they're fucking with their brain.
And
Yeah.
so we created a true raw recipe book. We created a
Yeah.
true raw way,
Well-
which is
Are you gonna have
Things
it
that are truly
marketed
raw.
or?
Yeah, we're actually, I'm even adjusting some of the recipes because some of them they call for cumin. Like today, I did not use any spices in that, just hot
Yeah.
peppers.
we're releasing.
And so I'm starting to adjust what I'm doing. You know, I was using other recipes and making my own that don't
Yeah.
use. So just using a serrano pepper instead of
Yeah.
chili powder from the store that who knows what the fuck they did to it, you know?
Yeah. Just one point I'd like to reiterate on this podcast. I don't know exactly who you have listening to your audience, but maybe some people aren't to the point where they're eating vegan raw or whatever,
Yeah, I
but
know.
just reiterating this point that if you can take one action today and repeat this action, so if you're a soda drinker, cut out the soda.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a smoker, stop smoking cigarettes and pick one of these things to focus on and do it well, because I think a lot of people when I go out there, a lot of people aren't anywhere near, you know, doing
I understand.
doing this. I'm just trying to help your audience a little bit. just pick something. You know, say I'm not going to drink alcohol, or I'm going to quit coffee, or I'm going to cut out red meat, and stick to that action for a month. You know,
You
like
could even just switch quinoa
Yeah.
for white rice and
yeah, like
It
Switch
took
the
us a
oil
big
they use.
practice to get there.
yeah, because like
Yeah.
I quit coffee 2 years ago. You know, and you know, I still work with clients that, you know, I had a client I was working with the other day, and I asked them, are you willing to quit coffee? You know, and they were like, no. And so I'm like, okay, I just have to accept that that's where
that's where they're at.
where my client is, and kind of move forward with it. Like, I am hoping that they'll get somewhere near where you and David are, but it's like, it's a process that people go through
I
to,
know, I know.
to get here. It's not just like instantly someone can arrive at this. It's a process that they have to go through.
And often
to,
people do the cha-cha. They'll say, okay, I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff, and then they go, oh, I really think I want this. But often it's their parasites that want that, not
Yeah.
them. Like
Yeah.
when we get parasites, they crave certain things.
Yep. So what can someone? So someone can do a parasite cleanse like an enema, right?
There's many different ways. out
Enema
there.
wouldn't do it in and of itself. I mean,
Yeah.
David and I did the 7-day fast with enemas.
Yeah.
But there are other herbs that you can take, oregano,
Oregano.
Eating certain foods.
yeah,
Like that.
eating certain foods can help. But if you're still consuming the foods that give you parasites, you're not doing yourself any
The first step is
favors.
detoxing your input always.
Yeah.
Like you were saying,
Yeah.
do a little bit. If you're gonna eat
Yeah.
pork and then want to get rid of the worms in your gut,
And then you eat pork again.
why even get rid of the worms in your gut? Why would they
Yeah.
try and thrive as they're always thriving? They want more
Yeah.
pork, so you get more pork for them.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't understand, pork is 98% similar to human DNA. That's just creepy to me.
Yeah.
Like, and that was one of the meats that was considered unclean.
Yeah.
For a
If you see-
reason.
If you see the way they live, it's definitely unclean. If you eat and shit in the same place,
Yeah.
then you're not clean.
Yeah. So so we have like in you know, Jewish tradition, they say not to eat pork.
Yeah,
And
there's
then
a reason. There's actually
And
a
in
reason.
the Hindu tradition, we have a lot of energy around India today. A lot of talk around India. They talk about not eating cows.
Yeah,
Which is
I
interesting,
I
yeah.
personally don't believe in eating any of my family.
Yeah.
But, you know, I honor
Yeah.
anyone's decision to eat family members if they want to.
Yeah.
It's dead, it's death, it's suffering,
Yeah.
and whatever we put in our body, you can
Yeah.
expect the same.
Yeah.
If you eat live foods, you can expect live healthy. If you eat suffering, then you can
Yeah.
expect suffering.
Yeah.
You know, people get all these diseases and disorders and they wonder why. Well, it stems from what you're putting in your body, Temple.
Yep.
All the inflammation, all the disease. We are not meant to have disease. If you look at these big animals, you know, the apes, they are very strong and they are plant-based. They don't eat, you know, so people when they say, I need protein,
I was living my life in pain up till this year. I was every morning waking up and feeling my shoulders and my knees and my elbows and stuff.
inflammation.
Just feeling the pain and inflammation and having just blowing out tons of snot all day long and spitting loogies
Yeah.
all day long most of my life. And when I took out the milk, I stopped spitting as many loogies.
Yeah.
Once I went for full raw,
Yeah.
the mucus is gone, the joints are not inflamed, I don't
Yeah.
wake up in pain. Now
Yeah.
I wake up in that much better of a mood. And I have a whole morning routine that I do
Yeah.
where I hug myself, I hug my bed, I hug the sky, I hug the
But yeah, he used to take turmeric pills every day, and we don't need to anymore
Twice a day,
because
too,
the
yeah.
inflammation's gone.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got an issue with inflammation, which we can break this before. I'm
Wow.
working on it now, and it's coming. The thing you showed me, like I've been working on this one. I found like a shelf
Yeah.
And I looked at the shelf when I moved into the house. I'm like, man, you've got to go. You was on wonky ass shelf. And now I'm like, you're the best shelf.
You're massaging his shelf.
Yeah, you're the best shelf.
Kim gave him a massage a little bit, worked on him a little bit, and then we were talking how you can set a broomstick up and lean on a broomstick or lean on a corner
Yeah.
of something or find something.
No, but
the
like,
chair.
I'm
I'll
really
get
getting-
I saw you doing it. Like we took some pictures when we had our heart flow, and you were like
Yes.
in,
Oh,
you were
I'm-
like doing it on yourself. I was like, Kim, you
Yeah,
got
I'm
this.
getting really rocking with this now, and I'm like really getting into those places. And when I do it, afterwards, I'm good. But true, the inflammation comes back in the morning again.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you eat bread?
I eat all the bad stuff you talk about. I'm like, you hear I'm quiet. Because like, I don't know when to interject. Like, oh, I'm the bad motherfucker. You know? Well, like, I'm the devil, you know. No, like this is not one of the areas where I have really given much attention in my life. I didn't grow up with people giving attention to this.
Me either. Yeah.
But it can help you with your inflammation if you shifted the
Yeah, I know
fruits and
there's
veggies.
some things that are growing right now in my life, and I think part of the reason why I'm here, I'm definitely